We're ready to talk about Review and Preview 2.1.1. The first question that you're going to see is question 6, and it says, for the problem below, display the data using a dot plot, bar graph, or Venn diagram. And you can see that the information that they give you is appliances sold at HouseMart during the month of September. And we've got 5 different types of appliances and how many were sold. So between those choices, the first thing you need to do would be to decide which of those would be the best way to display this particular data. And once you make that decision, create that data display on the space of your answer sheet. So you will either make your dot plot, your bar graph, or your Venn diagram on your answer sheet. And if you're really stuck on and can't decide which one would be the best, one question that might help you narrow it down would be to ask yourself, do any of these pieces of data belong in more than one category? In other words, will our data overlap? That can at least help you narrow it down a little bit from there. And then don't forget to answer the question, why did you feel this was the best choice? So why did you feel a dot plot or a bar graph or a Venn diagram was the best choice here? Then for question 2.7, we're referring back to the toothpicks and tiles game from lesson 1.1.2. And if you read carefully, it says that for both parts, A and B, you have to use exactly 6 tiles. So whatever designs that you create for A and B will both include 6 tiles, so 6 squares. Part A asks you to make a pattern where the number of toothpicks is more than double the number of tiles. So if you have 6 tiles, double that would be 12. So you're coming up with an arrangement that would have 6 tiles, but more than 12 toothpicks. Then for part B, it says find a pattern where the number of toothpicks is 4 more than the number of tiles. So again, if you have to use exactly 6 tiles, 4 more than that would mean that your perimeter or your toothpicks should be equal to 10. So I'm looking to see your sketches and some labels on those sketches for both A and B. For question 8, we've got some refreshments at the smoothie store. There are fruit kebabs and then there are smoothies. $1.75 for the kebabs, $2.50 for the smoothies. And part A and B give you an example. They order this many of this, what's their total cost? So you've got to find out what they spent total for A and B based on what's described. But part C says that he couldn't decide. He's got $9 he can spend, and he knows he wants to get at least one of each. It asks you for some different combinations, and it asks you specifically for 3 possibilities. So one thing to remember that sometimes people get confused on, it doesn't say he has to spend exactly $9. It says he has $9 to spend. So any of those 3 combinations that you're coming up with should be less than $9, or they could be exactly $9. The 3 combinations that you're coming up with that are less than or exactly $9 should have at least one of each item. So you've got to come up with 3 different combinations, at least one of each item, and should all be less than $9. For question number 9, we've got this arrangement of 10 tiles from the tiles and toothpicks, and she's going to rearrange them so that the number of toothpicks will stay the same. It asks you to draw one possible arrangement. So remember, if there are 10 tiles here, your arrangement should also include 10 tiles, but start by figuring out how many toothpicks, so what is the perimeter, and make sure that your figure for number 9 would have the same perimeter. So it's still going to have 10 tiles, but we'll have the same number of toothpicks and it will be a different arrangement. Then the last one that we see, question 10, should be something that seems easy and familiar. You've got some decimals that you are going to add or subtract, and it says remember to line up the decimal point. That is the biggest mistake I see 6th graders make with questions like this. They either forget to line up their digits or their decimal points, and sometimes they'll do that correctly, but they add when they're supposed to subtract or subtract when they're supposed to add. So once you write down the question for A, B, and C, because it asks you to show your work, Once you write down those decimals and you're lining up your digits and your decimal points, be sure to also include the operation symbol. So write a plus sign if it says to add. Write a minus sign if it says to add. Make sure you're doing the right operation at the right time. And that is all for this review and preview.